One of the things that happened back in the 50s was people went to work. Kids went to work. These were farms out here, and we worked for all the farms. So the chapter I've chosen is called Potato Picking, Caddyshack, and All That. It's chapter 32 in the book. Every teenager in Shalersville Township dreaded potato harvest. It was piecework, stoop labor, and backs and knees bore the brunt. Tractors pulled digger machines along the rows, digging up soil, potatoes, and rocks, shaking the soil down through the screened chute and dropping the potatoes and rocks, often indistinguishable, off the back end of the chute onto the finer soil. We worked in a pervasive hail of fine dust, our knees raw the first hour and our backs screaming in pain by noon. The potatoes were picked by hand and tossed into a slatted wooden basket. As each basket filled, it was emptied into a bushel basket. A tag was inserted in the rim of the basket by the picker who filled it. You got paid by the number of tags with your number the foreman had at the end of the day. Migrant worker families worked along with us, laughing at the pathetic efforts of the local teens. Any migrant child of 8 could outpick any local teen by at least 2 to 1. I thought a $10 or $15 paycheck at the end of the day was pretty good at 35 cents a basket. That's a lot of baskets. But the migrant families were pulling from $20 to $75 a day per person, including the kids. Still, it was money, and the farmers needed all the help they could get. I started caddying at 11, turned 12 that summer, carrying a single bag for $2.50 for a 2.5-hour walk around 9 holes of a golf course. The tip was usually 50 cents, and a half day was all the caddy master would let kids under 14 work. As time went on, I graduated to full course days, and when I turned 14, I graduated to full course bags. And I began carrying 2 bags at once. The bags were heavy leather bags and 14 clubs each, a couple dozen balls, miscellaneous devices for improving the game of duffers. Those never worked. They just collected in golf bags, and a pint of whatever potable was favored by the player. The whole shebang weighed from 25 to 30 pounds. Carrying 2 of them provided balance, but a total weight of 50 to 60 pounds. They made the last couple of holes exercises in torture. I learned a lot about people at Aurora Country Club. I had clubs thrown at me. Once I chased the offending golfer back to the clubhouse with them. Balls hit at me with no 4 as a warning. I towed those into the ground and was sent into poison ivy infested woods to find balls. Fortunately, I am not affected by poison ivy. I was stung by hornets in my shoe. I stepped into a nest hole climbing out of a creek bank after retrieving a ball, and every hornet in the nest dived into my shoe. And chased by a coyote, who the golfers drove away by throwing their clubs at him. The members were mostly middle management types who knew they'd topped out and were bitter about that. They took their frustrations out on bartenders, towel boys, the pro shop, and most especially caddies. I carried my last bags a month after I turned 18. There were few caddies left. Golf carts were replacing us, and few courses would allow a caddy to force them because they slowed down play. I saw a couple guys who'd always been nice to me and persuaded the caddy master to send me out with them. At the end of the round, when they pulled out their wallets, I waved them off. My last loop, I said, I picked you guys out for a freebie. Once I went to college, work became a more formal business. One summer, I worked nights as a best boy and fry cook at Howard Johnson Plaza on the Ohio Turnpike. For part of one summer, I worked afternoons as an orderly in the local hospital. Eventually, I worked as a roof carpenter, but from the time I was 10, there was no layabout summer. When I had children, I was appalled to discover that there was nothing they were allowed to do to earn money on a steady basis. They weren't allowed by law to do anything I'd done until they turned 14, and then they were severely restricted. Layabout summers, it turned out, had become the law when I wasn't looking. Thanks for listening, folks.